WINDBLADE, the very first Transformers fan-voted character, has gotten quite a few toys over the years. I don't have all of them, but geez, she's gotten stuff in, obviously, the original Generations line, RID 2015, Titan's Return, Cyberverse, and now with Legacy, we have our latest Deluxe WINDBLADE. I don't have too many WINDBLADEs. I only have the Generations one, I have the Cyberverse Warrior, and I have this new Legacy one. And honestly, I'm not the biggest fan of the character of WINDBLADE. I mean, she's okay, but I don't know. I've never been too excited about her. I've never really liked the design too much, because like the fan vote and everything had nothing to do with like the Japanese, geisha design that she has going on. That was just kind of like them taking what fans wanted and just taking it in a different direction. And it never really made sense to me how an alien robot could very much just look like a Japanese woman, but she looks like she's straight out of the beginning of Mulan. But anyways, WINDBLADE is a pretty cool character, but I do have to say the old Generations figure has never been a favorite of mine. It never has been. So I've kind of been looking for a nicer WINDBLADE. The RID ones just seemed kind of basic. I never got one. The Titan's Return, I just wasn't feeling it. The Cyberverse Warrior's okay, but I really wanted to check out this Cyberverse Legacy one, because I think it's really nice. It's a nice, solid WINDBLADE. And I definitely recommend it. But I wanted to do an old versus new to kind of see how far we've come when it comes to WINDBLADE figures, as well as some of the very odd design decisions of the old one. I've always wanted to talk about this old WINDBLADE because it's just so odd. So interestingly, this old WINDBLADE was actually retooled by Takara Tomy into Slipstream from Animated, and it was just announced that this figure will also be turning into Slipstream, and kind of interesting. Kind of interesting that WINDBLADE and Slipstream are just mold mates now, but whatever, it's all good. I'll take another Slipstream, she's a cool character. Alrighty, let's get into it. So they're both deluxes, obviously. There's about 10, 11 years difference between them, which I think is pretty stark and kind of pretty apparent, too, given the differences in quality. Because 2013, 2014 wasn't known for having the best Transformers quality. And this WINDBLADE, this old one, is pretty alright. But it just has some weirdness going on. I feel like especially from the waist down, it's a very awkward figure. But even from the waist up, like the shoulders just kind of flop a lot because of these hinges. The shoulder pads are kind of loose and just kind of floaty, and she's very thin. She's a very thin figure. I mean, the shoulders, now that I mention it, are actually quite the problem. Her head sculpt could never move much because of the collar. She's just so odd. And like her legs, too. She has like this big old sheath on her thigh. Gets knocked off super duper easily. And her legs very easily split. And her heel, because she has high heels, because why wouldn't she? Her heel very easily accidentally gets knocked in. So this figure is definitely prone to not wanting to stand up. You can have her hold the sheath if you want, and I kind of prefer that because then it doesn't just fall out all the time. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, kind of a mess. The cockpit just kind of rests on the back, doesn't really tab in, no real secure connection there. The wings do have a decent amount of articulation if you look past this difficult hinge. You can actually like swivel them, you can hinge them in and out. This winglet thing, you can have that moved forward. You have these little winglets right here. You have these little winglets down here. You have some options with the wings. It's just awkward, man. This has just always been such an awkward figure for me. Especially with WINDBLADE, with this big old sword and her, limited head, and just, I don't know, just it being WINDBLADE. I don't know. I've never been the biggest fan of this one. I do think the head sculpt is pretty nice. I like all the paint on it. It looks very pretty. With all the different colors and all that, but it just, again, doesn't really make sense for a Transformer to be so clearly a Japanese woman with a silver face. Like, seriously, it's straight, like, even has the fan. You can remove the fan out of her hair. Like, she very clearly looks like she has hair. She has this fan that's kind of, you have to wiggle it out, but she has this little fan that she can hold. I don't know, such an odd design. I feel like if they just didn't lean so heavily on this Japanese design for like the head and everything, I'd probably like her a little bit more. But I see where they're going. You know, Transformers has a very rich history with Japan. I mean, it comes from Japan, and it's unique. I feel like she's kind of gone with Drift. Like, she kind of fits in with Drift in that whole like Japanese Transformer aesthetic. But Drift, very obviously, you know, except for like Age of Extinction Drift, you know, didn't look like he was straight out of Japan. Like, white original Drift just looked like, you know, kind of a ninja Autobot. Age of Extinction is where they just straight up made him look like a Japanese man with a golden face. And again, kind of looked odd, but I'm very biased towards like the samurai armor, I guess. I don't know, like, I feel like if I'm hating on WINDBLADE, I should hate on AoE Drift. I'm just not the biggest fan of the look, but it's not bad. It's not the end of the world. I don't hate WINDBLADE. I'm not a WINDBLADE hater. Let me get that clear. Let's go over the articulation on this old one. I already kind of have. Head's pretty limited. Just kind of get a little bit of side to side. Shoulders are on very loose ball joints. You do have a little bit of a hinge at the shoulder armor. You do have a bicep swivel and a 90-degree at the elbow. Wrists can rotate. You can rotate the wrists. You do have a swivel at the waist. Ball joints at the hips that move pretty decently, I do have to say. Thigh swivel, knee bend. It's kind of limited because of like the landing gear and all that. And then the heel that keeps flipping in, and then the ankles that just flop around. One thing I do have to say, though, obviously because she has this cool sword sheath, she has a cool sword. I love this sword. Absolutely love it. I love the clear. I love how it kind of fades, the color. I don't know. It's such a cool sword. Very odd how it has a flat handle. Given the shape of the hand, it's kind of difficult for her to hold it sometimes. Like, if you just have it slightly turned in, it's just going to fall out. I don't know why that handle just wasn't circular. Whatever. But yeah, you can put the sword in the sheath. Looks cool. Looks neat. I do kind of like the little fan in the sword, too. I think it's kind of cool. Alright, there is our original Generations WINDBLADE in her robot mode. She's a mixed bag, that's for sure. She's not bad. She's just kind of fidgety and doesn't really hold together too well. And I don't know, she's never been a very fun one in my book. This new Legacy WINDBLADE, on the other hand, I am quite the fan of. It feels solid. Like the backpack, sure, it's a bit more of a backpack, but it's solid. Like, it is tabbed in. It holds. Like, you can hold her by that backpack if you want to. You know, the wings, you can kind of angle them back. You can also rotate these things just like on the old ones, so you can have the paint showing. She does have a little bit of that hollow plastic showing, which is kind of unfortunate from the front, kind of whatever, but you can see there's like ports to add accessories and everything. It's not the end of the world. I do feel like the head sculpt is a lot nicer on this one. I just like the look of this WINDBLADE a little bit more. It looks a little bit more refined. Looks less like she has actual hair, but still, you can see it. It has the fan. It's WINDBLADE. We can remove this fan too, but you can see it's just on a little tab. Can she hold this one? I feel like she might be able to. I know the old one can hold it too. Yeah, she can kind of hold it. Yeah, she's actually packed with the fan off, so make sure you don't throw that out when you have it. She doesn't come with a sheath for her sword, but her sword still has a cool like fan look, and also has like this very cool like ripple effect. I like the sleekness of the original, but I actually think that looks kind of cooler. Yeah. I love the added blue. Like, the original WINDBLADE has still had it like on the chest, the head, and the wrists, but now she kind of has a little bit on the lower chest and a little bit on the knees too, to kind of spread that color just a little bit further in the design. And I just kind of like that. Looks nice. I just can't emphasize how much sturdier this one feels. She doesn't have high heels anymore. She has the cool like thruster feet. I always love when a Transformer has the thruster feet. I think that always looks really cool. Yeah, I like this one a lot more. This is probably going to be my go-to WINDBLADE. I like the feel. I like the look. It's just, I know it's specifically Cyberverse, and there are some like slight design differences between Cyberverse WINDBLADE and like G1 WINDBLADE, but I don't care. This is probably going to be the WINDBLADE on like my main Generations collection shelf. That one, I don't even know if I'm going to keep it, honestly. I might just put it away for a while. I've just never felt that one. I'm very happy to finally have a WINDBLADE I am happy with. That is for sure. I like the look of it. I just do. Does her sword, like, store anywhere? It does. She has little holes on her hips. You can put the sword on her hips. And I'm sure it holds a lot better than the old one. I'm sure it does. Oh, yeah, absolutely. It almost, like, clicks in. Yeah, that holds a lot better. Yeah, that's really nice. I don't think you can remove the effect, but that's whatever. That's okay. Not stressing it. And yeah, she has a circular connection right there, so that definitely makes it a lot easier for her to hold this sword. Her articulation, you can see she actually has a full range of motion at the head, a little bit of down, a lot more up, which I think looks really cool for like flying poses. I like how you can have the wings out, so she has like the fans blowing, so you get like some motion with the wings, always like that. You can move that too if you want, the little VTOL. The arms, because Legacy is anti-ball joint, are on universals, and there's a little bit of a detent to them, which I really like. A little bit of a detent. The bicep swivels, the elbow bends a little less than 90 degrees, oddly enough. Maybe does it go 90? No, it's just a little bit less, but you still get the range you really need. Wrist swivel, waist swivel. You get universals at the hips that are very nice and sturdy. You do get a thigh swivel, and then you get about a 90-degree bend at the knee. Does it have like a double? I think it has a double for transformation. Almost looks like it does. Or am I just tripping? Yeah, it's... Oh, I see. Like, that panel has to go with it. And yeah, that's... You're not... Depends. Depends on how you're feeling about that. And then the ankles move down, and you do also get tilt out of them too, which I always appreciate. So yeah, I think the new WINDBLADE is definitely the winner. I mean, I hate to call it this early, but I mean, just look at it. It's better. It's just better. It is. All right, let's transform the old one. Let's see how this is gonna go. I hardly even remember how to do this, so bear with me, please. I know the head flips in, because no way would that big old hair have anywhere to go. The arms are going to hinge up, I'm sure. The cockpit will move down. Does the window open? No, it doesn't. I don't think it does. All right. So then that's going to go like that. And then the legs, I know you rotate the waist. Then the legs do this thing where they kind of like hinge up and like form the back of the jet, and it just doesn't look any good. It just doesn't. Never did. And they don't tab together either. It doesn't tab together. That rotates and you flip the heel in. Does it tab together like back there? Yeah, it does back there, but like the legs don't. So you just have like this hollowness. I feel like this might end up filling it at some point. We'll see. Yeah, because there's a hole right there for that to tab in. We'll see. Let's finish it. So the wings are going to fold back. Yeah, this is pretty easy from here. Wings fold back, get the VTOLs up. And then get this kind of lined up and tabbed in back there. I haven't done this in a while. I'm surprised how easily I'm remembering it. It's definitely a little finicky. Not horribly so, but I can tell it's a little bit. Especially with how a lot of the limbs don't really tab, like, especially that. Like, ugh. Anyways. The arms, don't they just kind of rest down there? Oh, yeah, I remember. The hands. Literally, the arms don't tab in anywhere. The hands literally just hold these little tabs on those winglets. They just hold them. All right. Doesn't that just go in right there? Come on. There we go. I'm so worried with like these older female figures with the, open hands that I'm going to break the thumb off one day. Always so worried. She does have a little landing gear, right? Yeah, little landing gear down there. All right, that's pretty much the jet, mostly said and done. It's not wanting to stay together. Surprise, surprise. And yeah, you can take this, attach it right there. And that kind of fills that, but not really. There's our jet mode for our old generations one. It's not bad. You know, you can move the little VTOLs in the front. You can do that. But my main issue has always been, there's her shins. That is undeniably just robot shins stuck on top of a plane. The feet don't fold in at all. They just stick up. Yeah, it's just looks ugly. You can kind of guess those are like intakes up there. If the feet just flipped down and like filled that out, it would look a little better. Just a little bit. But yeah, definitely a pretty whack jet mode. And you can see it is not staying together. It's just not. It's not staying together for me. Because it's just too hollow. There's too much wiggle room. Like literally just handling it, it's wiggling too much. It's neat though. It's neat. Not bad. I prefer it in slipstream colors, but even then it's not perfect. Definitely not. Alright, let's set that one down. And let's transform our new one here. This one is definitely an improvement in my book. So one thing I love is how the backpack kind of opens up and how the nose cone just kind of flips out from there. I love this. It's just so cool. It's just so cool to me. The backpack is like the collapsed nose cone. That just works so well. And then, don't we like leave that open? Yeah, we leave that open to allow for enough space for the head, right? Because the head hides in there. Isn't that how it goes? I haven't transformed this one in a little bit. It's been a little bit. Yeah, there we go. The head hides in there. So that's nice and clever. Always appreciate a clever head concealment. Alright, let's get all these panels out and tabbed in. So far, it's looking a lot better, in my opinion. Definitely. I like the more predominant red. I feel like this jet is so black for how red the robot is. And I feel like I appreciate the more red presence on this one. Just looks nicer in my book. Alright, and then the legs actually do a little bit of something this time around, and I appreciate that. I think they still rotate. Don't they still rotate? It still does something very similar to the old one. Still does something similar with the legs, but I think it's a lot better. I think they pull it off so much better. So it does still collapse. You can see it's still kind of collapsing, and it's still going to be on top of the jet. You can actually see it doesn't just look like legs. It doesn't, and I appreciate that. Come on, that is tabbed in. Oh my gosh. Untab, please. There we go. Yikes. That was in there. I forget where these go. Maybe they just fold underneath? I think they just fold underneath, don't they? You can see the legs actually tab together this time around. Very appreciated. Very appreciated. You can kind of see they have like a natural way they sit too. I appreciate that. And then these panels, yeah, those flip in down there and they kind of form like little landing skids, I'm guessing. Her arms actually do still transform the same way. They just hold on to pegs, but they're round and it's more secure. And I appreciate that. And then these tab into the legs to secure them even more. And does the sword go anywhere that's a little bit friendlier? Maybe it can tab down there. Yeah, I can tab down there. That's nice. Can it tab facing forward? Not as much. It might look cool tabbed back. Oh, yeah, it does. Kind of looks like a little trail. Oh, yeah, I like that. I like that. She has two thrusters, but just one trail. And the thrusters look nice right there. And the feet kind of look like little guards for the thrusters. Yeah, man, look at this. This looks like an actual jet. Look at that. Sure, you can still see like the arms and the chest, but like from the main viewing angle, this looks like a jet. You can't tell those are legs up there. Like that. Look at how streamlined that is. They're not even sticking up. Wow. Let's get that a little bit more squeezed. Yeah, man, definitely an upgrade for the new one in my opinion. I like the black striping. I like the black nose cone. Like it looks better than like this odd gray that just comes out of nowhere in the color scheme. It's a better design. It's a better look. I like this a lot more. It's just so much better in like every way. I really like the new one a lot. And even the sword integration, like it looks like a little trail coming off. It's not just like a big old sheath underneath. And you can actually not see through it, which I appreciate. And this one too, you can move the VTOLs forward. Always appreciated. Does this one have landing gear? I think so. Is that landing gear right there? Sometimes I forget landing gear on Transformers jets, and people are like, you forgot to mention it has landing gear. Yeah, it has a little bit of landing gear. I like that. And then it kind of matches with those little skids down there. So there we go. There's our look at the original Generations WINDBLADE versus the brand new Cyberverse Legacy one. Definitely prefer the new one. Definitely recommend the new one. It's sturdy, it's solid, it's a better design, it's a better look, it's a better toy. It's not a floppy mess, it holds together. This is my WINDBLADE. This is my go-to WINDBLADE, for sure. This one is whatever. You can pass on this. It's over 10 years old. Leave it be. It is a product of the age, for sure. Alrighty, guys, there we go. Let me know what you think about these down in the comments below. I definitely prefer the new one, but hey, some people might prefer the old. Some people might like the Titans Return one more. I don't know. Never got that one. It skyrocketed in price super fast. Didn't even have a chance to think about it. Alrighty, guys. Special shout out to channel members. As always, thank you all so much for the continued support. Have a great one, guys, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.